Boom. What's up, guys and gals? How are you? Let me know that you guys are out there and if you can hear me right now. Anybody in the comments, let me know if the audio is coming through. Do we have any audio? Sheldon, can you hear us out there? PKL69, can you hear us out there? Anybody? Okay, there we go. Thank you, JL. Looks like we're coming through clear. PK audio is good. Thank you, Ryan Wallace. Awesome, guys. Appreciate it. A little bit of a delay. Awesome. My levels are good? Awesome. All right. All right. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to bring in Tyler, my main man right now. He's going to come on in. Let's get us in here. And then we have a special guest with us today, the professor, the one and only Professor Falcon. Let's bring these guys in right now. What's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome. Nice shirts. Very nice shirts.
Like we planned it or something.
Ah, that's nice. Very nice shirts. God, nice heads too, guys. Man, we all have the gift of no hair.
Go team bald.
Go team bald, guys. I want to grow mine back. It just keeps growing on my face. That's all the place I can grow it.
Oh yeah.
What's
Fun,
up?
Fun stuff.
What's up, Kareem? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Hey, what's up? What's up, Johnson? What's up, BP? Nice to see you guys. Awesome. We'll give it another, 60 seconds or so for everybody to get in here. How's your guys' evening tonight, guys?
Yeah. Good.
Good. I like your...
How's your...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. I like your purple lighting. It looks very good. Very good.
It's like 15 below zero outside, and yeah, so I can't wait to get back inside when the stream ends.
Totally. Well, I'm warm because I've got my whole room lit up right now with tubes, and more tubes. Plus, I got black lights all over the place. So I turned my heater off, and it's still probably like 70 something degrees in here right now. It's crazy. We are multiplying.
They are your furnace assistance devices, you know.
That's right. All right. Okay. So we are here today to discuss tube amplifiers, and specifically tube amplifiers under $1,000. So the last few streams we've done, we've really focused on some, $1,500 and up amplifiers such as the Feliks Elise, the Pendant, the Nautilus, and some other high-end, very, very well-made tube amps that are also very expensive. But there's also some really well-made tube amps that don't have to cost a fortune, that still sound incredible, and you can get a lot of value out of them. So we're going to discuss that today so that people maybe just starting out into the hobby, or maybe somebody looking to outfit their office, they don't want to spend $2,000 for the office or whatever it may be. They can, get some ideas of some tube amps that we actually enjoy, that we like. And so we're going to kind of start at the bottom. We're going to start around the $150 price range, and we're going to go all the way up to around $1,000. And we're just going to go model by model, and we're going to talk a little bit about each one. And then at the very end, we're going to each probably say what our top 5 or top 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it works out to be, of our tube amps are, so you guys can know kind of what we like. And we'll kind of talk about it as we go as well. Yes, we do provide some warmth from those tubes. Yep, absolutely.
100%.
Oots, orts. Oots Ors. Is that how I say that? I don't know if I said that right. I'll throw it
Are you
up
trying
there.
to go
No.
Oh
Oots,
no, okay.
Oots Ors.
Oots Orts.
I can do that one.
Oots Ors.
Yeah. Oots Ors. So, so welcome everybody. We're really happy to have you guys here with us on this Friday night, and we're excited. So, yeah, we're gonna have some fun, and so with that, let's just get straight into it. So, let's go ahead and take a peek here. So we have a few different tubes here right now on display. So we've got a whole bunch of different ones, and we're going to start kind of around this area right here, specifically with these two. So we have the Valley 2, and that is from Schiit Audio. Of course, everybody's familiar with them. And what are your guys' thoughts on this Valley 2? How do you guys feel about it?
No, go ahead.
Everybody at once.
Everybody once. I'll take a crack at it just because I haven't listened to a Valley 2 for very extended periods at all. But my initial impression of it was that it was, for the price, it's a great entry. But I think I would rather save up a little bit and get something a little bit better, personally. But as far as like a quick entry though, and to try to test the waters if you like tubes, even though it's not the most tubey from my recollection, which is horrible, anyways, because everyone's. But anyways, that would be my take on it. If you can jump higher, and that might be a theme for the rest of the night for me.
No, well said. Yeah, well said. Nothing wrong with that. What about you, Professor? What do you think?
I think I can echo those sentiments. I think it's a great little. I mean, it's $150, right?
$150.
I mean, it's dirt cheap. Yeah. It sounds good. I think it sounds better than the Magni 3 that I heard. Just in sense of like overall, like, it gives you that little bit of tube magic, and it's kind of nice to take some cheaper tubes, roll in there, kind of customize the sound to what you like. And if you've got an absolutely tiny little space, or you're in a office in a building that you work and you're afraid of your gear walking off your desk, then probably that's an absolutely outstanding place to start.
Well said. Yeah, I feel like if you're on a tight budget, this is actually not a bad place to start at all, because you can pick this up for $150. You can pick up a pair of 6XXs and what is it called, a Modi, and you have a pretty fun little system that you can really enjoy, for around $500. So if you're in the budget range and you don't want to spend a ton, and you're kind of just being a little bit more sensitive for price at first, and you're just starting out in the hobby, this isn't a bad place to start. It actually has pretty darn good sound for a $150 tube amplifier. I was listening to it just before we got on the stream, and I was comparing it to the next amp we're going to look at, and they both sound, for the money, pretty darn good. So, of course, in a lot of different things, as you spend a little bit more, you can probably expect some better performance audibly. So let's look at the next amp in this group.
Super quick.
Yeah.
I think the Valley 2 Plus just got released, and from what everybody has been saying, I haven't heard it myself. It's a step up. It sounds better. So there's that to mention.
Excellent. And you know what? We skipped over one, so my bad on that.
Sheldon hit on it. Yeah.
Yeah, we totally skipped over on one that we had already had, and that's my bad, because I was hidden behind the screen here. So let's first start with this one, because that was actually supposed to be our first start. So Tyler, you're the one that's had the most extensive listening with this little guy. How did you feel about the P20 Loxjie?
I personally, I think it was. I mean, if you want to go bang for your buck, you have to do a couple tweaks to get this to where you want it or need it, or where I would want it. Sorry, not necessarily where you would want it or need it. But to me, it sounded the best off the balanced in and out. And then two, the tubes that come with it are not good. So you're gonna have to. You're gonna want to. For me, they were not that great. You're gonna want to update the tubes. But once I did that and I got kind of like the recommended, there's not too many tubes for it that kind of are like going to give a big difference. But once you get the ones, they're like 14 or 15 bucks, I want to say, or maybe 20 bucks now. But once you do get those in there and then going, to me, it sounded better than the MCTH from Drop with the balanced, but it was just ever so much. It wasn't like a big like night and day kind of thing. But then the single ended in and out was not. It wasn't to me worth using.
So it's kind of like maybe if you're really tight on a budget, experiment with it. You got a 30-day return policy from Amazon. Give it a shot.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you've got to put some extra money and tubes into it, which you're going to maybe do with most of these anyways. But this one is like, it sounds like it's almost a necessity to put those extra tubes in almost immediately to get a decent sound out of it. How is the build quality on it?
Honestly, the build quality is pretty solid. I didn't have any issues with that at all. And it has little LEDs underneath the tubes. Sorry, I'm looking at the picture too. But I think they're slightly purple. So that was already a win for me. But outside of that, so that's something to think about. But the overall build quality was, I mean, there's no complaints there. It's not super fancy, but it's nothing it's not wonk. There was no edges on mine. It was nice paint job. There's nothing,
It's
out of the
$99, so it's not a
and
huge.
The red one, there's a red one, and the red one looks really nice. I actually wish I would have got the red one. Not that I kept it very long, but still.
Yeah, there is a red one too. All right, so did you ever have any listening with this one, Professor?
No. I think the reason for that is because the thought of taking a $2,000 ZMF headphone and plugging it into a $100 tube amp, where I have no idea who truly Loxjie is and what their customer service is like, absolutely terrified me. So there's I know it's gotten really good reviews even on places like Super Best Audio Friends, Headfi folks have.
Yeah, headphones.
Use that on the headphones forum too.
Yeah, headphones.com forum. There's a lot of people that really enjoy it. So, I mean, that's a good point, though. You may not want to plug $2,000 headphones into this. So maybe you would want to start with your Sennheisers or something like that and see how it does first. I kind of do that with almost any amp that I bring in anyways, just to be safe,
Yeah, that might be another recurring theme moving forward. Sorry.
All right, let's go to the next one. So the next one was the CTH. So this one, basically it runs for, if I remember correctly, $249 full price, but it goes on sale pretty regularly for, I think $165 or $175 in that range. You guys shout me out in the chat if I'm off on that pricing. Hey, what's up, Android? How are you doing, man? Good to see you. So I actually really like this amp. So I'll start off because I actually do really enjoy this amp. So I think it's actually a pretty good sounding amp. It does lean a little bit tilting to warm. It has a little bit of euphonic character from the tube. It's still a hybrid. So, it's not full tube flavor by any means, but I think it has actually excellent sound quality. And for $165, you can run it balanced or single-ended. It's pretty enjoyable. And so I don't really fault it very much at all. Kind of same way I feel about the Valley too. You're only spending, a certain amount of money, $150 or $165. You get a little bit more in a sense if you want to run balanced from the Cavalli than you do from the Volley too. So that's something to consider if you like listening balanced or you have balanced cables. But it's just something else to think about. What are your guys' thoughts?
It was my first entry into tubes. Actually, was this for me? Was MCTH. So for me, like it was, and for me, I instantly was like, oh no, I like tubes. Like it was, you know what I mean? Like it was an instantaneous, like, okay, yeah, this is a thing that I'm gonna go down. And then I think I sold it off within probably 6 months, probably of owning it. And
you upgraded? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can't remember exactly what I got first, but eventually I got the a couple of different random ones. Anyways, we can talk about those later as they come up. But yeah, I had the same kind of experience that you had, Marcello. I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot for what it was. It was a good entry point. The tube rolling isn't a big factor for it, for at least in my experience.
Agreed. Yeah, the tube it
But
comes with is solid. You don't have to spend any money. You just get it, you're good to go, and just enjoy it. That's it.
That's kind of my experience as well. I don't have any negatives to say about it other than I do have one negative. I do have one negative actually, and the negative is that all the drop colors on that line never match.
Yeah.
Oh, the black colors, like the chassis, never match. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like they'll be slightly different, and so I remember I had stacked with like the R2R, and then I had it stacked with the THX and the Cavalli one at one point, and like they all just had different colors. And
it's like different like
OCD was like,
yeah, like different batches of like metal or something when they produce the cases or something like that, or just a slightly off. This is actually the only drop branded amp that I actually own, so, and I just never got rid of it because it was just such a good price, and I actually still enjoy it, that I could put it into a bedroom, I could put it into an office, I could put it in.
It's a solid.
It's just an enjoyable listen. It's like not super analytical. It's just fun. It's engaging, and it's just relaxed. It's good. It pairs really well with the 6XX or pretty much anything you throw at it sounds decent or good. So, for the money, I don't.
Really safe.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I think it's a really safe recommendation because it's never going to bite you as far as like sound quality goes. It's just really nice and even everywhere. It still has that wide sound stage. I remember when they released it, and I jumped on it right away, and then right after that, Schiit released the Lyr 3, and I got both the same day. So I'm sitting there hooking them up, comparing back and forth, so on and so forth. I did, spoiler alert, I kept the Lyr 3, but
it's a great amp.
It's a good amp. It gives you every connectivity kind of feature you could possibly want with any of your DACs and headphones, and it sounds good. And you don't have to tube roll.
Yeah,
and if you do, tube cheap.
Yeah, absolutely.
That being said, please don't go plug a $500 super rare tube into it, please.
Yeah, it's you're wasting that tube. Yeah, you would want to save that for an end game tube amp that would really deserve that pairing, right? So, all right, well, cool.
Yeah,
so it's a pretty safe bet from all of us that you're not gonna be wasting your money on that. All right, so the next one we already talked about the Valley, so let's go into talking about another one. This one is called the DarkVoice, and this one has been reviewed pretty heavily by a lot of other YouTube review people. Some people like it, some people don't like it as much. I personally not heard this unit, so I can't speak to how good it sounds because I don't know. I haven't reviewed it yet or heard it. So I'm gonna kick this over to the professor because I know he's actually heard this amp, and let's hear what you think about this amp and how you feel about it.
Well, I've heard this, and I've heard a modified version of it where somebody just went nuts replacing parts on the inside like caps and stuff like that. And I think they were at least twice the cost of the amp and upgrades on this thing. And my honest opinion of it is, if you want a true OTL that sounds like an OTL, meaning that it's got the really rich, warm, tubey kind of sound, depending on what tubes you pop in there. This is how do I put it? This is not a terrible place to start, but there are much better out there for just a wee bit more. Okay, like the Bottlehead Crack, which I think is superior. Now I know the two actually share the same general topology, but they're going with slightly different choices in certain resistors, capacitors, and choices and things like that. They do sound different. And then once you add the speedball onto the Crack, game's over for the DarkVoice completely. But it's a quick, it can be a cheap, quick little OTL introduction to somebody if you're, you know, looking to test the waters. It's not something that I would probably recommend for like a long-term keep. That's all you judge your music off of kind of amp.
Well said. No, that's well said. So, I mean, we look at the price here. Let's pull that back up. So, we got, you know, $279, normally $299. There's going to be links also already in the video description for the majority of stuff we're talking about. If you guys are interested in checking any of this stuff out, help the channel out, click those links, and if you do end up buying, it actually helps support me and massive amounts of hard drive space that I need to keep filming stuff. So, you know, don't hesitate if you're interested. Yeah, or go buy 10. And Bill, yes, we are going to talk about a tube rolling episode coming up pretty soon. So stay tuned, and I'll definitely let you know when that's going to happen. So sounds like it's an okay option, but I think we all pretty much are going to agree that there is going to be some others that are better. So here's another option that Tyler has actually, and I don't think you can really get hands on it unless you go to the used market right now. Let me pull you up, Tyler, so we can get you big screen. There we go. Current ZDT Jr. with a killer skull volume knob.
Yeah, that's not stock.
Not stock, obviously. I almost bought this amp from Tyler a long time ago, and and I think I ended up going with the Lyr 3. You know, so, but this amp gets pretty good reviews. So Tyler, give us a little bit of your scoop on this amp and what you think.
So this is the third one I've listened to. This one has updated the J-Dub Western Electric tubes in it. This specific one is pretty good. The one I had before it had the crazy issues with the transformer not being shielded properly, so I had a lot of noise on one side. And then the one that I liked the most was not this one. This one's good, but the one I liked the most, which was kind of like the unicorn, which sounded really, really good, and actually was where I got these tubes from, was exceptional. So there is some unit variation, of course. They're also like, I don't think they're even making these anymore or will make these anymore, so the chance of you getting one is used market only, and that's a kind of a crapshoot. So, but outside of that, if you do get one that works without any noise or minimal noise tubes, they do sound good. I think this reminds me more of like trying to think, like it sits above the MCTH for sure, and then it's probably closer to the Bottlehead Crack, and but not there. Like it's not not even remotely there. It's a different thing. It sits firmly in its price point. I think if you can get it for like $350, I'd say it'd be a pretty decent $350 to $400 max. I would say that I would really be questioned, but like $300 to $400 range, I'd say this is a decent entry point into tubes. And there's not many tube rolling options, so.
Sounds like it's a good idea to protect yourself though. If you're gonna buy that on the used market, you know, make sure you're doing that transaction in a way that you have some buyer protection, because it sounds like there has been some, or know the person well, like, you know, because it sounds like there's been, to Tyler's point, some unit to unit variation, and you don't want to get stuck with something that you're not happy with. So,
yeah. Or at least do your due diligence, because I know that they had a mod or a workaround or something with the shielding in the transformers.
I tried to do that and I completely melted. Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, so I did that with my first one. I ended up melting my first one because I tried to add the shield to it. So I melted it. I melted the whole PCB. Yeah, that was a bad idea. For me, like, I'm not the greatest solderer, so I mean that could also be, yeah.
So good things to ask your seller before you buy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Did you do any mods?
So the other thing you could do is I mean, I don't know if it'll make any difference, but you could go over to Drop and request it. I just don't. But to Tyler's point, and we were talking about this last night, with the Professor. I just don't think that they're manufacturing them anymore. So, but you never know if enough people requested them. Maybe if there was enough demand, there could maybe there'd be a way. If there's money, there's always a way. So, but yeah. Anyways, we'll go on to the next one, and we'll take a peek at the next one, which is the Valhalla 2. Valhalla, take you to Valhalla. So, Bill, my good friend and family, is on this stream, and he had some questions about the Valhalla, and I haven't heard it, but I know the Professor has heard it. And so, Bill, if you're still out there, this will be a good chance for you to get a little info on the Valhalla and how it performs comparatively to some of the other 2 amps we're going to be discussing tonight. Go for it, Brent. Take it away. Yeah.
Yeah, go over my thoughts on it.
Yeah, please.
It's a good amp. It is. But it's not what people expect when people read the description of Valhalla 2. Oh, it's an OTL amp. They're expecting a nice, warm, rich, thick, tubey sound. It is not that. It is a crisp, clean, leaner sounding amp, and it doesn't have like a huge range of tubes that you can roll through there. I know that there are probably a gazillion tubes on Headphone and other places that people will recommend you put in, some of which might even be out of spec. I don't even know if you could or should follow the advice on a lot of those threads, but for what it is, especially for the price, and given that Schiit has never let me down as far as the products they sold me. If something goes south or if you got questions or anything like that, yeah, I would recommend this one. But understand that it is not your thick, rich sound. It is a leaner sound that is cleaner and more neutral. Pairs extremely well with the HD650. I probably wouldn't run Stellias or things like that on there. That might bring out a little bit more of the top end, and you're going to hear a little bit of grain on that depending on what tubes you're running. And then, yeah, I mean it's a great little introductory OTL amp.
Awesome. Bill was listening too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. We're going to be getting to Feliks here in a second, actually, so hang tight on that, Marux. We will be getting there, if I said that correctly. Sheldon, what's up, man? All right, cool. So what about you, Tyler? Did you ever have any experience with that one? Anything extensive? Or
nothing extensive, but my listening experience aligns with pros. I kind of reminds me of the can even that I have here that we're going to talk about a little later. So yeah.
Cool. Perfect. Good deal. Let's get on to the next one. This is the one, so if you can stretch a little bit more, just a tiny bit more than the Valhalla price, and you are willing to get your hands involved with it, you actually can do a little bit more and enjoy yourself with the Bottlehead Crack 1.1 OTL headphone amplifier kit. Now, this is cool. I think all 3 of us have one of these. And I started a build of this with Bill, who's on the stream, and then he took over and finished it up and just did an exceptional job. I'll just kind of show you here. Here it is right here. Looks great. Sounds amazing. So it's probably one of my favorite tube amps I've heard, definitely in this price range. So I'll give my thoughts in a second, but I'll let Tyler, why don't you kick off this one, and then we'll go to the Professor, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the Bottlehead Crack.
Cool. Yeah, I built mine for a while back. It was a pretty fun build. You actually, honestly, building it makes it that much better. Also, doing it yourself. Yeah. I mean, you can go to Etsy or go to something like that and get it built for you, or even have Bottlehead do it for you. Like I have right now, I have a custom zero coat wood. My camera decides not to focus on my ZMF shirt.
There it goes. You got it now.
I hate to interrupt you, but I just got to say, I get raging jealous every time I see that Bottlehead Crack bass.
I know, it's really pretty, man. Wow.
Oh yeah.
so yeah, so this was I lucked out because one of my buddies lives nearby, and he built two of these bases. So, but anyways, building it yourself is really fantastic. It really adds that like desirability, I guess, or even like that
Attachment.
it builds bias,
Yeah,
an attachment.
an attachment. Yeah.
And then I did originally I did just the regular Bottlehead, and then I had the Speedball on the side ready to go. But I wanted to listen to the Bottlehead without the Speedball for like a couple months. I ended up going for like almost a year, and then I finally threw the Speedball on. And I think that without the Speedball, it's a very gooey, proper like super OTL tubey sound. Like it's this romantic everything that everyone talks about like tubes is Bottlehead without the Speedball. Like,
But it's not.
it's the
It's
still
it's
down.
not overly gooey though either. Like
Nah,
I would
mean,
say. I would say compare like okay, I just recently reviewed the Elise, and I would say that the Elise is almost got more of a gooey sound.
sure.
I would say,
Yeah.
you know,
There's
so
certain other tubes that definitely get
yeah,
lower. The Speedball definitely adds a little more speed, a little more brings it back to more not neutral, but it brings in more of that detail and speed to it. I think. I mean, yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely it's. I think honestly, the other thing about the Bottlehead and Pro you probably mentioned this too, but and also you Marcello, but to me, that's also like, it has that romantic ability to like just you get kind of engrossed with it once you start listening. Like it's hard to not like once you are listening with it, it's hard to not listen to it.
It's addictive. The Elise was similar in the same way, but I would say that I even prefer the sound of the Bottlehead to the Elise, and that's at like a third of the price. So there's the value.
I mean, to give you an idea, like it's not much. It's this is wood base plate, and then it's a plate that you're doing, and then you put it all in. So I mean, and then I have a couple of different random things, but I mean that's just something to think about. It's pretty simple, but that's the part of the joy of it, right? Is it's a simple thing that works really well. You can tube roll. It's a tube roller's dream to some level because it's so simple to tube roll because there's only two tubes, and then even I have an adapter for a 6S7 right now. So I mean that's another option. So anyways, that's my take on it. Is this should just be a thing that if you're into tubes, you should just have one of these. Like,
right.
Like I mean, at the end of the day, like it's kind of like just this is tubes.
My head enough. Yes.
Yeah. So you're looking at between $315 and $430, and I'll give you guys a hot tip. I think it's every September. They do
September, October.
Yeah, September and October. They always do a sale. So if you're not in a rush and you're willing to wait, you can wait until September or October. I can't remember. Somebody will in the comments correct us if they know the exact month. But you can get a pretty hot deal on this. I think it's like $100 off. So it's not bad, So considering what the quality of sound you get for that price, it's pretty incredible. So what do you think, Brent? Tell us what your thoughts are on it.
Just like Tyler said, it's like if you're into tubes and you're really into audio and you don't want to spend a lot and you're looking for a project, like something to do in the wintertime, hey, right now would be a great time. This is a fantastic kit. It was my first DIY kit. And once you build it, and it's like it becomes a child at that point. You have attachment to it. It's like, what is this thing I have created? It's just fantastic, right? But as far as the sound, yeah, I think it is definitely best with the Speedball on it. Not that without it sounds bad. It's just that I think the Speedball helps cut the syrup out, where it's like the dynamics that were loose are no longer loose, right? But you still get that tone. You get a little bit of better extension in the bass. Just a little bit more clarity to it without killing the flavor and the soul of what makes that amp good, right? So yeah, 100% recommend the Speedball. One thing that, since I've heard like 4 or 5 of these, including some that were just modified beyond like what the bass circuit really started off being. With people putting Zener diodes and all kinds of crazy capacitors in there, and they're dumping so much stuff in there that I don't think it's worth that. Maybe take the coupling caps, maybe upgrade those, stop there. If you're going to dump any more money into a Bottlehead Crack beyond a speedball, and maybe, I don't even recommend the capacitors, honestly. If you're going to dump any more money into, making this amp better, just go get a Krakatoa and build that. Yeah.
Sounds good.
But yeah, it's a fantastic amp. I've said repeatedly, it is criminally underrated in the hobby. Yeah, you can go to Etsy and buy them pre-made. You can go to Bottlehead and have them build it for you. Completely worth it. Not a lot of money. Top pick. Go.
Yeah, I think so. I think you can probably get it built for $750, so it still stays under the $1,000 range what we were talking about. So you get the kit, you hit up one of those guys on Etsy, they get the kit, it's $750 for the full thing, $800 maybe. They build it all for you, they stain it the color you want, and then you get it back. So if you're not into DIY, but you want an incredible sounding amp, especially if you're a ZMF or a Sennheiser 650 or 6XX owner, I mean, with the Verite opens, it sounds amazing. Same with the 6XX or the 650. It just has that amazing sound to it that I just don't think many people would be unhappy with. It just sounds really, really good. And it's
tour, any of those as well.
Yeah, the Aeolus. Yeah, the Aeolus sounds awesome with it as well. Yeah, so
not for cleaners.
Yeah, absolutely no. It's got to, you're gonna have impedance mismatch.
You throw a Pladar there. It's
it's really built for for the ZMFs and the Sennheisers of the world. So I think you're gonna be most happy with those. We're gonna actually Retrave. We're gonna actually get to the Rat Rave. I'm sorry. Yeah, Rat Rave. We're gonna get to the Echo in a little bit here. So hang tight on that. But we will talk about that, and we can come back around to that question. In fact, I'll add it to the broadcast so we don't forget. To come back around, and we'll see what we think about that compared to the Echo, and we'll hit up the chat and ask a few people that maybe have both and see what thoughts are, and we'll bring you guys into that conversation even more. So a lot of you guys are asking about that Echo, and it's definitely on the list. So we're going to be talking about it. So hang tight, don't worry, promise you. All right, so verdict, it's a winner. Like, obviously the Bottlehead Crack is a definite winner. You can put different tubes in it. You can change the sound with the tubes. I mean, honestly, the only thing I could say that bugs me about it, the only thing is when I go to pull my headphones out, I have to hold down on the top. You know what I mean? Like, otherwise that's it. Yeah,
I've seen people that have built like clips and stuff. And one of my favorite mods, you might see this one, but someone put a ignition switch where you flick the toggle and then flick it on and I've seen another one where it's a push down, like a flick, like a launch a missile type of thing.
That's creative, man. That's cool.
That's awesome.
And I've seen them where they have like the latches onto the top where it's like you have to do that to get it to pop off. And yeah. So anyways, there's a lot of cool things you can do with the case. I see another person embed it into like a tree stump that he had turned into a coffee table. And so it was embedded into this cool like tree stump coffee table thing. And he had like his drink next to it next to his sitting like listening chair. And it was, I mean, there's so many cool things. Because it's literally, I mean,
that's wild.
If you can put this on to, you're just, if you could, all you have to do is hollow out whatever, and then you can put it. Yeah. So I mean, that's something to think about as well.
What's up, Josh? Thanks for joining us, Josh. Josh is here to show his support for Tyler. Thanks for coming. This next amp is I mean, I still own it. It's a personal favorite of mine. For the price, it's super hard to beat. Let's take a look at it.
Tough one to beat, yeah.
I mean, this is the Lyr 3. This was my first, I would say, large purchase in tubes, because although it was the Cavalli before that, which was like $160 I got, or 165. So this was my first kind of big purchase into a hybrid tube amplifier, and I've had this for quite a while now. I mean, well over a year, longer, and it just sounds good. I mean, it's not super tubey, so if you're looking for a more tubey sound, this isn't going to be the ultra tubey sound. I mean, it is hybrid, but it plays well with planners just as well as it does with, dynamic driver headphones. So you can do a lot with this, and you only have one tube you have to roll. So there's that in the fact you don't have to spend a fortune. And actually, this tube isn't. I mean, you can spend a lot of money on these tubes, but you can also get a lot of value in, these tubes that aren't super expensive, like around $50 or $100. So it's not going to be as expensive tube rolling this amp as some of the other ones will. And it also has got a preamp. So if you do speakers, that's also nice. So you can have it preamp to a pair of speakers. And I actually opted to get a phono card in mine because I like to spin vinyl and listen to vinyl. And that was like $100 add-on, and it's actually pretty good sounding. It's not a bad phono card, and once again, it's classic Schiit. It's just built like Schiit, I mean, so good. Like, it's just really built strong, durable. It's
Schiit.
Schiit. That's not. We're not swearing. We're very good people. We're not swearing. The manufacturer's name is Schiit. Okay, and it stacks perfectly with the Lyr 3. So I have nothing bad I can say about this. I mean, one other thing I'd even add, I have an HE6 version 2, HE6 SE version 2 that I picked up from Adorama, thanks to Antdroid shouting me out a killer deal. Thanks, Ant, if you're still out there. Appreciate it. And it's got 4 watts into 50 ohms, so it sounds pretty good with the HE6 SE version 2. It's not as good as another amp that I have, but it still sounds pretty darn good. So what are your guys' thoughts on this one?
I thought it was, for a long time it was the one that I used, like in the office. I had one at home. I used it everywhere. My favorite tube on it was a Westinghouse, what people are calling a D-getter.
That's what I got.
Yep. Yeah, it was like $35 when I bought it. So
yeah,
it's not expensive on the tube. Might be a little hard to find, but it was just solidly neutral. It was engaging. It still had that tube soul, but it had the power and oomph of the solid state. So, yeah, it was a really good amp. The only thing I can really think of is that if you do get a tube that doesn't match, your preference and whatnot, it seemed like it would really not match your preference. I had some Kenrads in there that just made it fairly bright that I didn't care for. Or I got like there was an RCA gray glass or something like that was just no air at all, right? So finding that right little tube to pop in there to match your preferences, once you find it, the amp is killer. And of course it depends on what headphones and DAC you're using, as far as how the chain synergizes and all that. But I have no problem I have no problem at all recommending this amp to people who kind of want to get a bit of that tube flavor, but don't want to go full nutso on like complete OTL tube builds and tons of money and tube rolling and all that kind of stuff. So
awesome. Well said. Tyler, what about you, buddy?
I think the Lyr is honestly everything that we've talked about prior to this, outside the Bottlehead Crack. Those are the Lyr and the Bottlehead Crack would be, not to be like, I don't want to be controversial or anything like that, but I would say like those are the 2 entry points I would actually recommend for someone that wants a OTL or a hybrid, if that makes sense. Like I'd actually just say save up and just get one of those, just because I think there's so much, to me, they're that much better than the other stuff that it's worth just waiting to get something like that. But if you don't want to wait, then there's the options below are really good. It's just I personally think it's better to save up and just get one of these 2 than for the entry into this tube game.
Taryn, I gotta drop your comment in the stream because it's just too funny. Taryn says he sees why he didn't get the invite because his beard can't keep up.
No, he has a full head of hair, Taryn.
I know. I was gonna say, how about I'll trade you my beard for your hair? Can I have your hair? And you can have my beard. I'd rather have your hair.
He also had,
Actually,
so
I think
there's
I would
another
pay to
great
see that.
question.
If we can get
that's-
Taryn to pick his head, that would be great.
Aaron challenged. There's another question from Rippin Freestyle to you, Pro. He asked, can you tell me why the Utopia and the Fauna? This is off track, real quick off track question. Why the Utopia and the Faunator is your favorite combination?
For who?
It's my favorite combination. Is it?
For Pro.
Yeah. Because,
yeah.
I think I love that combination because I don't really enjoy hearing anything above 10K, and that's why I wear it and just crank the volume.
Well said. So obviously that was a very sarcastic question he was asking you.
Yeah, it was a joke question.
Bill had a good question too about the Lyr 3. Yes, the Lyr 3 does do very well with planar magnetic headphones. I actually had it with the Ananda, and that was one of my preferred listenings with the Ananda. It was pretty great. It sounds good with the Hyphaman HE6 like we were talking about. It sounds awesome with a Rad Zero. It's another planar. It sounds really great with. I mean, it sounds pretty good with everything, honestly. I haven't found like a pair of headphones where like, oh, this sounds like crap with it. It's just an all-arounder, and I think that's why it's such a good value in this space at $499, because this, for a lot of people, could be, if you don't ever want to spend more than that, this could be their one and done amp for forever. So that's why I think it is so loved.
IEMs, though, but...
Yeah, that's true. If you're an IEM listener, I'm not an IEM guy, so I can't really speak to that. But maybe if you are, maybe it's not the best.
Hazard for myself, so.
P for foe, yeah, that Rad Zero is gorgeous, huh? It is a pretty one. Let's see. Okay, what's up, Resolve? How are you, buddy? Good to see you, man. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Hola.
All right, so let's get on. Let's get on to the next amp here in a second. So we got up next. Let's take a peek what we got in store. So we checked out the Lyr, and now we are going to move into this bad boy. Mjolnir.
Oh.
So this is one that the surprise amp that Professor wanted to bust out for us, and it's not one that's talked about a ton. And and honestly, I forgot about it.
Has one.
Yeah, I forgot about it completely, and it is totally, it's an awesome amp in the right price range under that 1,000. So, Professor, talk to us about this one, because you had this extensively for a long time.
I did. I rolled more tubes through it than I should have. And ironically, like the second pair of tubes that I put in there were the ones that were the best, and those were like Ampex A-frames, and I just couldn't stop. But this amp I adore. Especially with like headphones that react really well to slam and impact, and these are just like the impact king and dynamic king, and it just really has such a presence to the sound on this amp. Love it for that. Single-ended or balanced inputs, same with the outputs. Preamp, it's a fairly big unit, so if you're hurting for desk space, actually, then I would not recommend it. I'd probably hop back down to the Lyr 3. But doesn't take a whole bunch of money to get this sounding great. Slap some Ampex A-frame tubes in there, call it a day. You're under $1,000, and it's such an engaging listen. It's really one of my favorites.
Yeah, I've only heard it in demo scenarios, and or at like meets and that kind of stuff myself. But I really enjoyed it when I did hear it. But like everyone says, it's like one of those things like, oh, this is great, and then you just forget about it. I don't know why. Like that's because it is so good. But it's like, and then all of a sudden I think you get wowed by other things for whatever reason, and then it's because I remember every time I heard it, I was like, oh, I need to go buy one of these, and then I always would go, and then I'd buy something else, and then I'd be like, oh, I spent my money on some other things that are anyways. But yeah, I agree though. It's pretty. I always enjoyed it when I did hear it. So, that's my take. I don't really have much other than that.
It is pretty big too. So that's a good point. That's a good point that the professor brought up. I mean, if you look at it, you've got how large is this thing?
So this
16 inches by almost 9 inches. So it's pretty massive.
This thing sits right in that blank spot, though. By the way.
Yeah, you could put a Bifrost 2 on top of that without going into the vent area. So that's how big it is.
Well, and it's 16 inches. That's almost the width of a pendant. It's a little larger than a pendant then, right, Professor? Probably a little wider, just a touch.
Maybe a touch wider. Hold on. Yeah, they're close. I would say within an inch of each other.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is exactly an inch. I think the pendant's like 15. So if that one's 16. So yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Tyler brings up a great point for the Bifrost 2. It will stack. Like if we go and look back at the website here,
or if you could throw an Asgard or a Lyr 3 or
yeah,
the other. They're all the same.
It would stack right there
on top of a Freya S and then put your Bifrost on there.
You can't. Yeah, I agree. You should send me your Freya S Pro. That's an excellent idea. Thank you.
Does Schiit make a bad product?
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure they do, and we can get into that maybe at the end. But so far, we're focusing on their best stuff right now. But I think every manufacturer has a oopsie pie every now and then, right? So, nothing's perfect. We're all human, so we probably make mistakes. But the ones we're discussing today are some of their winners for sure, especially in the tube amp space. Let's see. Taryn wants to know the best tube amp. Taryn wants to know the best tube amp for the Hyphaman Diva. Oh, geez.
Am I in floating head mode?
The best tube amp for the Diva is it's a direct connect that you plug the Diva directly in to a full circuit, full wattage, like 12 volts, and you just direct connect current to it, and then let it go.
If anybody's new to the hobby, don't listen to what he's saying right now. He's being sarcastic. He's being sarcastic.
All the currents at once.
If you didn't know Tyler's sense of humor.
Plug your car battery cable to your charger, and then you take the other parts and you connect them directly to the ends of the Diva or Hyphimans, and then you let them go. Start the car.
Oh, jeez. All right. So obviously he's teasing. Obviously he's teasing, guys.
Please,
sarcasm.
That's
definitely sarcasm. Don't blow up your headphones and/or hurt yourself. Yeah. So, all right.
Do not play with electricity.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get to the next amp here, and this is one we. Well, I know that Professor hasn't heard this one yet, but he's heard the big brother of this one, and this is going to be the tuba. And big shout out first of all to Jeremy, JB. Thank you so much for sending this out on tour. That's how Tyler and I both got to hear this amp. It's here with me now. I'll show you on the table in a second. And I mean, I love it. I think it sounds incredible. So, I mean, and for the price, this is one of those kind of like up there with the Bottlehead Crack, right? It's kind of underrated for how good this amp is. It's $699, and you're getting like sound that's worth more than that, in my opinion. So, this is a really, really good amp. It may not be the prettiest looking amp. It kind of looks like a tank, but what you're paying for is quality and sound and the excellent build quality. And I think Professor pointed this out last night, and we're gonna look at this. So yeah, if I'm gonna do that right now. So this is what you're paying for here. Look at this. Mm-hmm. It's clean.
It's got a lot of iron in it. It's got a lot of really good components.
American made.
Trusted ear that I know has said, who has heard it, that said it's a really, really good sound. So
made in Hawaii, which is cool. What's the warranty on this too? I can't remember what he said. It's pretty lengthy, isn't it? What is the warranty on this guy?
I can't remember off the top of my head. It's pretty good though. I think he stands by his products. It's he's a good.
Yeah, it's pretty lengthy. I remember reading about it. So, anyways, it uses L84 tubes, correct? And So Jeremy sent 3 pairs of tubes with it, and the ones that are in it now,
Crystals.
yeah, I think they are. I have to pull it up. I think those are my favorites. I think stock it comes with tungsтрums, and those are okay sounding, but I felt like it was just a better sound with these ones. I'll pull that up while you're giving your impressions. Tyler, I'll actually pull up what these tubes are real quick.
Okay. Yeah. My thoughts on it were is that's so I have currently with me right now. Um, well, excuse the mess. Don't get sick. Hey, lights. I don't know if you can see, but this guy right here is the ECP T4, and that's a $2,000 amp that's uses dual tubes, and it's probably the way I view the tuba is it's a $700 version of that, if that makes sense. Like it's like the performance is along those lines. Without, I mean, the T4 to me still is definitely the it sounds better to me, but at the same time, for the price point, it's the tuba is a great sounding little amp. Honestly, like I didn't really have any faults with it. It is a hit or miss for some people aesthetically. I know you can do custom wood panels on the sides. You have to do that yourself now. I don't think he does them in house anymore. But I mean, to me, that I was really blown away at how good that was. Honestly, like the tuba is very, very good. In fact, I would probably say of the bunch we have currently that we talked about outside of the Bottlehead Crack, the tuba is probably my favorite of the bunch so far.
Yeah, Tim says he likes the tuba plus the clear equals awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It really pairs well with the low Z, with focal stuff, which is it does. It pairs really good with the low Z stuff, and that's a kind of a trick with these kind of like almost hybrid. They're not really hybrids, right? I mean, they're hybrids, but they're.
It's designed. The tuba is designed to do. I as I was reading through the manual, it says something that's like designed to run with either your traditional Sennheiser 300 ohm headphone, but on the low Z. Yeah, on the low Z, it's designed to run with like your 32 ohm headphones, which are
clear. A lot of the focal stuff. That's my take. Honestly, like it's just it really is just a fantastic little, and it's built like a tank. Literally, it looks like, to me, like you're talking about, Marcello, it reminds me of a World War II or World War I tank. Like it's just.
Or like it could be also like an ammo crate almost looking kind of thing. Yeah, it definitely has that feel to it. Almost like militant in a way, built durable.
Bare bones.
I do like the front of it. I don't know if you can really see it really well here. I'll try to bring it up.
Between the Bottlehead and the Lyr, right?
Yeah, so it's right here in the middle, and I'll pan in.
It.
Yeah, I'll pan into it here, and I'll show you something I think is kind of one thing I do like about it is like when the lights are all out, I can't turn them all off here, but I'll turn off one of my lights real quick so you can get an idea. This is kind of like if you just listen in complete dark, the tubes glowing with these guys together looks really cool. Like it's got a really nice vibe to it. So that is a shout out to the aesthetics, and because if the lights were all off in here, well, maybe I can just give you a quick turn off and show you what it would be like. Hold on one sec.
Ooh, there you go.
Ooh, it's Valentine's Day weekend.
It's kind of cool.
Marcello's getting the.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, right? I mean, the camera's exposure isn't set for this lighting level right now, but it gives you an idea. It's like almost got like 2 eyes and horns coming out of the top of it. Is the way I kind of look at it. It's almost like a demon. Like it's cool. It has a cool look to it when the lights are all dark.
Yeah.
And so those guys ship out of Hawaii. So, you support an American company as well. If you like supporting American companies, you have that option by going with the tuba. And there's a lot of great tubes, that are available for, in that tube format. So that's also kind of cool too. All right.
One trick about this real quick, Marcello, is the volume knob. I don't know if you guys noticed, there's no on or off. The volume knob is the on-off. You have to press it in to turn in. That if you're not ready for that, that can be kind of a little bit of a. But where's the volume? Where's the
Yeah,
power?
at first you're like, well, how do I turn this thing on? Yeah, yep.
If you're like me, you don't ever read instructions. You just put things together and go.
I mean, I kind of like, that's another thing. That's another thing about it that's kind of cool though, right? Like you don't have to reach around to the back of it. Like you're there, like, you know.
Every Schiit product ever made. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, you have to, on every Schiit product, you got to flip it on the back, you know, so.
You know, like the awkward, like feeling around for the little dongle.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that is kind of a unique, smart design choice, I think. And, you know, the volume knob is smooth too. So, I mean, it's not a beefy volume control. That's one thing I would say. It's not nice. Like the Lyr 3 volume, that's like a solid piece of metal. You know, it's just a piece of plastic on the tuba. Same with the Bottlehead. So that's one area where there was some price savings, you know, but that's also $699 for an amazing quality sound. The value you're getting is underneath the hood, once again, like we talked about. So
yeah. Actually, if I was to buy one, I was actually thinking about trying to like figure out a way to maybe even make my own case for it, just because it'd be so cool to do that. But I don't know. Sorry, random. Go ahead. Next.
No, that's cool.
Sorry, ADHD took off on me. Sorry.
Let's go to the next one.
It would be a fun little project. See what you get out of it. You should do it.
Maybe.
I mean, why not? Yeah. All right. So let me just make sure. Let's see. Oh, Sleepy, what's up, dude? I forgot to say hi to Sleepy. Good to have you with us, brother. Welcome, my friend.
What's up, Sleepy?
You know, it's real quick. Taryn says best tube amp to watch Star Wars, Rise of the Skywalker. Oh wait, Rise of the Skywalker though. That you threw me there, because if you said Star Wars, I would have said the tuba, because it has that same Star Wars aesthetic a little bit.
It's got a feel to it, yeah. Especially with the lights down, it definitely does.
Yeah.
Actually, Sleepy, we are going to the Cayenne right now, so that's the next amp we are going to talk about is the Cayenne. So let's bring that up, and Tyler has that. So this is available right now. It's linked in the description of this video from headphones.com, 729, dubbed the boat, both for its size and also for its classically beautiful wood grain like you would see on a boat. Let me go to Tyler's cam so you can get a closer look at that. The Cayenne tuba. And this one's got some pretty unique features to it, which we're going to talk about. And in discussing it last night, Tyler and Brent and I, we were talking about they use the same tubes pretty much that the pendant uses. So you get somewhat similar sound, not exactly the same, but there's definitely some similarities from what Tyler thinks. And it's heavy, right, Tyler? That's how you get so buff.
I'm a little winded right now.
Well, I mean, that's why those arms are so big.
Jesus. But yeah, this thing it's got if iron is your reference, this thing is got a giant chunk of it right back here. But yeah, it's really cool. It's got really nice tubes. And when this thing's turned on, like you saw in the picture in there, it's beautiful. It's a nice little porthole there to look at. It's got some really cool. It's got the impedance selector, which goes from 8 to 32.
See if you can get that 64. On camera again for us, Tyler. See if you can get a little closer so peeps can see it, if it'll focus. There it goes.
So you have, sorry for the wobble, I'm balancing it here. So you have your input selector, and then over here you have the, focusing on my hand, of course, impedance. I don't know if you guys can.
Yeah, we can see it right there. It's great. Yeah.
So you have the impedance selector there, so you can go up to the different volume or impedances. So it's pretty versatile. It did remind me a lot of when I had the pendant in. I actually compared it to this, and kind of similar to the way I feel about the tuba to my ECP T4 is how I feel about this to the pendant, if that makes sense. I do think the pendant blows this out of the water at the end of the day, but if you're looking for that to figure out the pendant was your thing, but didn't want to spend the full money for a pendant, for instance, you could probably go for this just to test it. Plus, this thing is just, I mean, really it's pretty. Like, this thing aesthetically is amazingly pretty. It has a pre-out, so you can use it to stereo, and I've done it with the SR1As as a pre-out to add some tubes to it. Oh my God.
And I mean, that's what this stream is really all about, is value tube amps. We're just gonna get Tyler an intense shoulder workout.
Yeah, I'm just busting your butt. Today's arms day, buddy. I hope you're ready.
So, I mean, and that's what this stream's all about. Under 1,000, where are those value tube amps, right? Because we've been talking a lot on the channel about the expensive ones, which are amazing. Nobody will argue it, but
that one, like, so I mean, everything that you've seen me pull up so far, I own. Like, that's my, so I put money down for it. If that makes
and $729. That's a really good price, and it supports our good friends at Headphones.com as well. So this is another really great option for you guys to consider if you want to stretch that budget a little bit and have something that is absolutely stunning both to look at and very good to listen to. You can have that.
Pictures of your gear.
This is a good one, yeah. Definitely.
You lean headphones against it. Nice little, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's good. That's good. No, I think that's great. What do we have any other thoughts on this one before we go to our next bad boy?
I would say, it's a pain in the ass to change tubes. So once you get your tubes in there, they're in there. Like I just as a heads up, because you take the whole side comes up and off. So that whole, like the front plate that with the porthole stays, but everything that's the sides and the top, it's just that, and that you have to unscrew it and it pops off. The whole part pops off.
So it's like a U-shaped clamshell that slides down on top of it, right?
Yep.
You
can see the iron in there and everything. It's pretty cool once you get it all out there. But
does it glow? Does it glow as much as it does in that photo, or is that just?
No, it glows, man.
That's sick. Glows. Because that to me looks really rad. Like you could be same scenario, right? You're in your dark room, you're just chilling, listening to your music, and you got that sick glow, man.
And if you want a hand warmer, it's the little vents on top. You can kind of see them. I kind of showed them earlier.
I mean, because that's got a cool glow to it, man.
So you can kind of see it there. The vent there that's the entry or the venting for the tubes, and then
there you go. You got it.
So you can see there, and then up there in the top part, I don't know if you can see that. If you're in close camera, that tells you what the tubes are in their order and how they look inside there.
I like that.
You need to buy and that kind of thing, and then that's how.
I think it's visually a very, very good looking amplifier.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous, man. It's a very pretty
Michael has a good question for you, Tyler. How are the tubes that are actually included with it, like from the get-go?
They're actually decent. They're very clean though. Like they are not tubey sounding tubes. The ones that come with it, they're very neutral tubes.
Which is the same with a pendant. So like you buy a pendant in the stock JJ tubes, you're gonna get it. That's like solid state clean almost sound. So
yeah, and that's how.
So Michael, like, you know, that's one thing about these tube amps that we're discussing is, you know, you're going to have to invest a little to get your sound, but really the best thing to do is, like, now you know, Tyler owns this amp, so, you know, jump on our Discord with us or jump on headphones.com forum and, you know, ping him if you're interested in buying that from, you know, you can hit him up and say, hey, what are the tubes you like for this? So you don't have to spend $1,000 trying to figure out which tubes if you and Tyler have similar listening preferences. So it's really important to try to find a buddy or buddies that, you know, have a similar style of listening preference, whether you listen to the same music or you just lean maybe a little warm or you like neutral, or if you listen to really bright stuff, you might have a buddy like Android that likes really bright. So you just, you know, go with that. So I'm just kidding, Ant. I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. He's not. I don't even think he's on here with us. He left. But so yeah. But it sounds like the tubes are good, but you're pretty neutral then, Tyler, right? So, for the most part.
Yeah, they're very. And then even the ones I got in there now, I got right off the bat. I stuck with tongue sole. I did all tongue sole in there, and so all of them are tongue soles. And it brought it a little bit more warmth, but it's basically still that neutral. It's the same problem but the same signature that the pendant has. Like no matter what tubes you kind of throw at it, it's still always going to have that lean to neutral. And so that's what you have to think about. So
No, it's good. And there's another good question here. I'm going to pop it up on the screen so other viewers later down the road or current viewers can see. Do you EQ with tubes or stick with the tubes as the EQ? So for me personally, I am more of a purist. I don't really use EQ, although I could through Rune. I don't ever choose to really, but I do maybe play around a little bit with the Schiit Loki and do a little bit of tone control. But for me, tubes are kind of like picking your tubes is kind of like EQing your sound in a sense, but in a more purist traditional sort of way, because each tube has, you know, a different presence in how they sound, and their harmonics, you know, are just a little bit different. So what about you guys? I don't think you guys EQ at all.
EQ is the devil.
So yeah, equalizers are for people who don't like their headphones.
I mean, seriously, like, look, there might be, like, let's say, on the flip side of that coin, right? Because the three guys on here are the wrong three guys to ask about EQ, and the question is very good. Your question isn't bad. It is a very good question, and it's good for other viewers. But the reason why I say that is that we don't use EQ because we like a more traditional, purist approach to our listening.
I'll change. Yeah.
Like, Resolve is your EQ guy.
My brain screws with me every time I go in an EQ and I set up a perfect profile for my auteur with, you know, this amp and whatever, and then, you know, hey, let's mix it up today and go back and, you know, do this, and oh, I forgot to change the EQ, and so I'll put something else on and I'll be like, sounds like crap. Why does it sound like crap? Right? And then I'll go through like the entire audio chain and be like, what's wrong with my system? And oh, I forgot to turn the EQ off. You know, or when I had the Schiit Loki, it was dial in everything perfectly per song, and next thing you know, I'm not listening anymore. I'm just dialing. Yeah,
you're fiddling. You're fiddling instead of listening. Yeah,
exactly. So for me, it's just something that if I can get a good bass line and then just kind of maybe swap a couple headphones in and out, that's better than EQ in my mind and for how I listen. So I totally get why people would want to EQ, especially if they've got a mainstay headphone that's what they use 90% of the time. Great, EQ, have fun, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
But that's also kind of the fun of our hobby of owning multiple amps and owning multiple pairs of headphones so you can play. That is a version of EQ in a sense. You are rotating. You're rotating in.
My headphones. Find that synergy.
And exactly, you're searching for a synergy and a balance, just like in photography, you know, or videography. We're always trying to balance, like, you know, the shutter speed with the aperture and then the gain or the ISO to get that perfect exposure. Well, in audio, it's the same thing. You're just doing it with different types of components, whether that's the amplifier, the DAC, and, you know, your source. So EQ is cool if you're into it. It's just probably not something we're super into, the three of us, but. Tubes are kind of it. No EQ, the power of tubes compels you.
Power of tubes compel you. Yeah.
We'll throw that on there.
EQ.
We'll throw that on there. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so anything else we want to add about this, the KN? Because it is a beautiful looking amp, and I mean, it is a pretty stellar price.
Or actually say this, if you like solid states, you're not the biggest fan of tubes, but you want to have a tubiness, go with KN.
Very good. So
it's for a higher end one too, especially like if you're just testing the waters, go with some of the lower ones we mentioned before,
like a Lyr 3.
Lyr 3, MCTH.
CH. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's look at next up, one that people have been talking about all night long, all night, all night, all night, night long. Echo goodness. Echo 2 has grown up. So Echo 1, I haven't heard the Echo line, but there's a lot of great buddies of ours on our Discord and on the forum, headphones.com forum, that are constantly talking about the Echo 1, and now we have the Echo 2. So I know that Sheldon has an Echo. I know that Sleepy has an Echo. Who else has an Echo? There's a lot of people that have one. So from what I can tell, this is a more neutral sound. I haven't heard it, but it's more neutral than, say, the Elise would be. Elise is going to be the warm and gooey one. But what do you guys think out there in the comment land? Who has an Echo 1, and what did you think of the Echo 1? Tyler,
I haven't heard this one, but if it's a clean sounding Feliks amp, it's piqued my interest.
I've heard the Echo 1 briefly and not enough to speak on, to be honest. It kind of, to me, it reminded me of the Eddie Current's deal a lot.
It's not an inexpensive one, you know, especially
new
for the
one's more
two.
expensive.
Yeah, the new one's more expensive slightly. €699 for the conversion. Well,
Like
it's
800
pretty
bucks, I wanna
close
say.
to the same. The old one is $729 on sale right now. I think that dropped. It says not neutral. Sheldon says not neutral, warm, not as warm as the Elise. Okay, so that's actually
that's my
that's
take
that's
on
kind of where I like to be. Is not maybe quite as warm always as the Elise, but a little bit warmer than neutral. That's kind of where I like to play. So that probably would be a perfect amp for me to get some ears on to see how I feel about it, because that's kind of the space I like to play in most of the time. So
I like the
agree.
little
I
warmth
don't,
to
I
my
don't
stuff.
like how warm and thick the Elise was when I had mine, and that was an earlier version, so I heard that was just really bad compared to what they're selling now. But still, I mean, it's yeah, if it's leaner than that, I want to hear it.
yeah, no, I don't think. I think Sleepy. I think no, the Echo is not as warm as the Elise. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the Elise is the warmest. And no, in fact, I even had a conversation with those guys over there, and they said that the Elise is by far the most romantic warm amp that is made by Feliks. Now that if my memory serves me correctly, so
Well, you've got what, the Echo 2 and the Expressivo.
yeah, the Expressivo is the one up, I believe, of the Echo 2. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, one is supposed to be leaner, the other is supposed to be rich and euphonic, and I'm not sure which is which. But
So the Echo is going to be one of those ones that we can't, the three of us can't totally say one way or another, but we wanted to include it because we know that it's very popular, and there's a lot of people that do love it. So we wanted to mention it and make sure that, you know, we don't leave all you Feliks Audio friends out there left out. You know, so, and it looks like Sheldon says here that the Echo 2 is similar to the Echo 1, but supposed to have a bit more air in the treble. Interesting. So,
okay.
so maybe this is one that we can try to get in for review in the coming months and kind of see what everybody thinks about it, you know. All right, so let's look at the next amp. And this is actually a kit. This is a pretty interesting kit.
Yeah.
Professor, you want to kick this one off and talk a little bit about this kit for us?
Sure. Okay. So, I've heard two of these. One was stock, and it kind of had not quite as much of a warm euphonic, like not Euphoria, Elise kind of sound to it. And then another one I heard was really kind of neutral, maybe a bit more towards the pendant without quite being like pendant clean, right? And it's a kit that you can buy, you can build. I think it's what, 750 or something from multiple different places.
Yeah,
Um,
we're on Tube Depot right now, and they got it for $795.
795. Okay,
And there's
so
a
800
preamp
bucks.
version of it too.
Yeah, this is the 8200R. And I know that there was an 8200 without the R. The R is the updated version that has little higher quality components, certain upgrades here and there that they popped out there. But if you're a DIYer and you want a powerful sounding and powerful electrically kind of amp, this might be the perfect way to go. I really kind of fell in love with the ones that I've heard. You can internally, you've got a little switch that you can switch the tubes between a ultralinear, pentode, and triode mode to really dial in how much tubiness you get from it. It can run, I think the default tubes are the 6L6s, but it can run like, you know, the KT88s, things like that. It has speaker taps on the back. Those tubes will put out quite a bit of power. So if you're, you know, got some hard to drive headphones, I'm sure that'll do it. But this one had to be like an honorable mention from me. I felt like I really should put this out there. For one, because I think the DIY community has really done some awesome things. And I find it really interesting, you know, researching how these amps, you know, actually work, and why is this amp that runs 4 tubes different from, you know, another amp that runs 4 tubes, you know, and how is the circuit different and all that kind of stuff. You know, what the hell is the difference between a triode and a beam tetrode, you know, that kind of stuff. So, you know, just me digging around and reading about all this stuff and hearing the amps themselves. Yeah, I wanted to throw this one out there. I think it's definitely worthwhile, especially for the price. All you need is a soldering gun and a multimeter, right?
Mm-hmm. And if you built the Bottlehead Crack, you're ready to go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
So
this one's a lot easier in some regards too, because it's all on a circuit board. It's all through hole. Mm-hmm. The instructions that I've seen, and there are YouTube videos of people who have assembled this and they've gone through the entire process on video. Yeah. You can even paint the chassis if you want to, because that tan-ish whatever color, that doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. Purple. He wants purple like me.
Yeah, plum crazy purple. I want it to look like a Dodge, you know.
So there's a good idea of all the parts right there. You can take a peek and see that go into the build.
So through-hole soldering can be a lot easier because, you know, you pop the little wire leads through the holes. So it kind of holds itself in place when you solder. And that can, on a few steps, especially where you're connecting certain capacitors to certain contact points on the Bottlehead Crack, where you're holding like 3 wires in together with a little
one in your mouth.
Yeah, and you're in there, and you need like 12 hands to hold everything. And there are 1 or 2, you know, times when that happens on the Crack when you're assembling it. And this is just a lot easier. It's just go through the process, build it. Has output transformers as well, so it's not an OTL, but I mean it's got a nice clean sound. You can roll the heck, to your heart's desire, basically, on this little guy. It's it's a great little do-it-yourself kit.
Awesome, well said. MD Fricks asked about what the term lush means. I mean, to me, lush is more like...
I'm not drinking that much, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, lush is the guy underneath my picture on the stream. No, I'm just kidding. To me, like a more lush sound is like more like a warmer, gooey, more romantic kind of like enveloping kind of sound, I would say. Not as tight, lush is more rounded off, I would say. A tighter,
maybe a little more rounded, maybe a little more tonally
sweet,
on
mid-range.
With a little bit of that, nice second harmonic distortion thrown in there.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So that, to answer that question, because that was a really good question, MD Frick. I'm gonna add that so everybody could see your excellent question. All right, cool. And then Bill had a question as well. Are there any quality tube amps under $1,000 made in the UK? I would say my favorite one, I don't even know, it's over 1,000 though. iFi's Pro iCAN is awesome, I think, because that's tube and hybrid. But that's well over 1,000.
That's tough. Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, most tube amps, it's rare to find them under 1,000 that are like really good.
Yeah, which is kind of like why we did this, is just to kind of give people an idea for under 1,000. Here's the ones that probably are going to be your safer bets for the most part. So I'll look into that more for you, Bill, and I'll kind of see if I can find that out, and I'll get you that info. Josh T. Yep, that's also a good. Yeah, fuller, more velvety sound. I like that. That's a good description also for what a lush sound is. Yeah, very good.
AKM chips.
AKM chips are usually pretty smooth. All right, so let's look at the next amp. And the next amp is also one I have here sitting on the desk. Thanks again to Jeremy for sending this one on tour. If you don't know, Jeremy's got the biggest heart.
Like
one of the awesomest. Like one of the awesomest dudes in this community. He sent out like 90% of his gear to go on tour for everybody to hear, and just huge thank you to you. Seriously, man, we all appreciate you a lot. You're one of the best of us all, for sure, man. And this is the Monolith by Monoprice, the Liquid Platinum Balanced headphone. And I know this one is extremely popular with a lot of ZMF listeners, just from playing around on HeadFi and some of the ZMF threads. And this one's pretty cool. the one that Jeremy sent out because it's got some really unique tubes. Let me see if I can get you a better look at it.
Christmas lights.
Yeah, it's got the Christmas lights, which are I think specifically done by TubeMonger. I think is yeah. It's like let me see if I can get over there and zoom in a little more for you guys. Get in there. There we go. Look at those guys. Look at Buddha. Buddha thinks they're hilarious. He's like, ah! Look at those TubeMongers. So they're really crazy. But I can't believe how good these tubes actually sound. Like they sound really good. Like I wasn't expecting it because most tubes you look at are significantly larger, than these. And I mean, for me, this amp, I think it's actually a really great amp at its sale price. So, right now, if we go back to Monoprice's website, right now it's listed for $799. This thing comes all the way down to $430, $399. Like you can pick it up for like the $399 to maybe $499 range. It's a pretty good value. I don't know. I still might take the Lyr 3 at $499 over this. I would say maybe if you can pick this up for $399 and you're prepared to run it balanced, this is actually a pretty sweet amp for that, and you're going to play around with tubes a little bit. They actually, another thing about Monoprice that is cool is they got a great warranty. I can't remember what it is on this, but usually they're anywhere from 2 to 5 years. So.
Sorry, I was reading Sheldon's comment.
Size doesn't matter. Yeah, that's funny.
We all know
it's all
that's
about the glow in the tube. It's all about the glow in the glass.
Yeah, glow in the glass.
It's all about the glow in the glass.
So I think it comes with a. Let's see. I want to say it's 5 years, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's a pretty good warranty on it, but.
5 year. Yeah, 5 year warranty. So that's pretty impressive. 5 year warranty.
My hot take on it though is that it's one of those ones you experiment with if you're wanting to kind of diversify a little bit. For me personally.
Yeah, exactly. I still think.
Or if you're absolute nutso, must run everything balanced kind of mentality, then yeah.
It sounds very good balanced for sure, but it doesn't sound quite as good single ended. Yeah, so that's the only thing.
Those TubeMonger ones were my favorite tubes of the bunch. But those are expensive, like very, very expensive.
Yeah, and then we're getting into the conversation of are you spending almost as much for the tubes as you are for the amp,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still think if you can get it on sale, it's a good value, but I would not pay. Personally, I don't know if now, some people have as much money as they want. They can do whatever they want. So, for you, do what you want to do. But for me personally, I would probably... At the $799, I would opt for either a Bottlehead Crack tuba or the Lyr 3. So
yeah, I think those are the kind of front runners right now. Yeah, or
I'd agree
the
with
Beast can.
Or the Beast can. Yeah, I haven't heard it. I haven't heard it, but I mean, I definitely trust Tyler's opinion on it. So I would like to hear that one. Maybe the gents at headphones.com will send me one to review. Let's see. What are the Christmas tree tubes? Matt, I will tell you right now, actually, buddy, because I have that right here on my phone. They are called, let me tell you, they are EI6BQ5/EL84s. That is what they're called. And they're tungstroms. So, yep. And they're 1980-91 from Hungary. So, and they're pretty cool, actually, too. This is what they look like. I don't know if it'll focus on... Nah, it's not going to focus, but they don't look like that at all without the TubeMonger. It's pretty interesting. So, yeah. So there you go.
Quick, the only way you can get those to work with other tubes is from TubeMonger, because they have a thing where they make that connector for them to go in that way. I think.
Ray, the liquid platinum is a hybrid, I believe, so it's not an OTL. So that's to answer your question. It's not an OTL amp. It's a hybrid. All right, let's move to the. Oh, go ahead.
I know that a lot of people probably know this, but for the viewers who don't, a hybrid amp is one that uses tubes to usually amplify voltage, and then they'll use other semiconductor parts to provide the current, right? In the amplification stages. So instead of using, a tube for both amplification stages, it only uses it for once, and so that's why it's called a hybrid.
So like OTL would have a power tube and then an amplification, right?
Yeah, input tube, power tube.
Input, yep. Input and power, yep.
Yep.
Booze.
And that's so like with a pendant, you have two power tubes, L84s, then you have one output tube, and then you have the rectifier tube. So you've got 4 tubes on the pendant. Yes, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So I mean, just different basically topologies for how they're creating sound.
Right. And if you want to get really weird with it, you've got the Kit that we showed earlier, the 8200R. That has a single input tube, a phase converting tube, and then 2 power tubes. So, yeah, it's interesting. The topologies can be all over the place with that stuff. Yeah.
No problem, Ray. That's why we're here, dude. We want to try to make this easy for everybody to understand because, listen, all of us had to learn at some point too. We all started somewhere. So, and part of the reason why, Professor's on here is, and people call him the Professor, is because he's got an immense amount of knowledge in this space. And when I came over from the to the Head-Fi game, like I didn't know as much about Head-Fi. I was more in the 2-channel world. That was my background. I used to, run stores for Best Buy and Magnolia Home Theater, and we would focus mostly on surround sound and stereo speakers and so on and so forth. So, Head-Fi kind of came about when my daughter was born. It became a necessity for me to start wearing headphones, because I had my little baby girl's room right next to mine, and I couldn't use my near field speakers anymore while I was editing photos or video. And I had to discover another way to still get my music and enjoy my music while I was working. And, I was, really new to the space. I understood amplifiers and speakers, but I did it in DACs, of course, but I didn't quite understand the differences and what I needed to look for from headphone amplification. And that's where headphones.com forum was the kind place. And I was lucky to meet Tyler and the professor over here, and didn't get stuck on another forum that we won't name that almost drove me out of the hobby. Talking to you. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Anyways, so the Echo as a preamp to the Lyr 3 is pretty sweet. Have you tried that, Sheldon? Is that a pretty good sound? The Echo as a preamp to the Lyr 3. Yeah, I played around preamps from the Elise too. Actually, I like the Elise preamp sound better than I did the straight amp. It just sounds a little more neutral. I don't know how or why, but it just sounds a touch more neutral. So I guess I could relate to that. That's kind of cool. Circuit City, Ray, that's awesome.
People experiment and try with that kind of stuff, but then another side of my brain screams out to me like, if you took all of the cost of the tubes for those plus the 2 amps themselves, you're $100 away from a pendant.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep. So I agree. All right, good deal. Let's move on to the next amp, and this one we're gonna have to find where you can order this from because it's a pretty specialty item. But this was another one that the professor came up with, and this I actually pulled this post from the professor over on headphones.com. If you're not familiar with headphones.com, it is one of the most inviting places to learn about headphones, amplifiers, DACs, music, you name it. A lot of us have created like years long friendships through that forum. So it's a great place we all kind of met and hang out. So forum.headphones.com, I believe, is the correct website. So check that out. So here it is right here. So it is the Shortest Wave 51.
Yes.
Talk to us about this bad boy. And you also got the eddy current next to it, which is your picture that you took. I love how there's a beer in the background. That's perfect.
Yep, we were in my buddy's basement, and there were 7 or 8 other people there. And we were all listening to stuff. There was the eddy current Super 7 that was there. There were 15 to 20 different headphones, some of them modded, not. So this is like what our local little Colorado crew like to do, get together whenever there's no pandemic going on. that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But and we usually like to hold it, especially when something new comes out that like nobody has heard before. Like so, on this meet, it was really fun because we got to hear the Sonic Morpheus. Somebody had just recently picked up a Empyrean. The Shortest Way came in, so it was a really fun meet. And that, by the way, is the best way to learn about pretty much, any of that stuff. Go to a forum, see if anybody's holding a local meet. Go, make friends, listen to stuff, enjoy. It's really fun. Anyway, Shortest Way 51. There's a gentleman, his name is Zampotech. I tried reaching out to him through the Super Best Audio Friends website to see if he was taking orders from any more of these. He's in Russia, hasn't responded back, unfortunately, so I don't have any ordering information for these. But they do show up from time to time on the pre-owned market. And I know a lot of people really like that Current ZDT Jr. The Shortest Way is, in my mind, pretty much better in every way. I thought the ZDT Jr. had a little bit of a tendency to make kind of the mids a little wonky, kind of get a little grainy. The Shortest Way 51 was like razor neutral, just without losing musicality, right? It was just this, holy crap, what am I listening to? This really only costs like $500. Are you kidding me? Really? Kind of unicorn moments in audio. So this is like my number one pick. I'm waiting for, one to become available so I can pick one up. I just love this amp, especially for the price. So I can't recommend it more. Let's see here. We've got, I don't know if it has any preamp outs on the back. I don't remember that, but I know it does have a high Z and a low Z plugs on the front, a volume knob, power switch, and that's pretty much it. Tube rolling is nice and cheap. There really aren't expensive tubes on the market for it. It does take a very specific kind. It's not like your typical, 12 AT7s or, your SN6 or you know what I'm talking about. But it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Hey, Ashley, thank you for the information. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
Awesome.
Yeah, glad.
I think
Thank
it
you
looks
for that
fantastic.
info.
It looks cool.
I think it looks cool too. Yeah.
I like the cat
But
on the
yeah,
front.
it's just like one of these little sleeper amps. I mean, if this guy went into full on production mode on one of these, he could flood the market and just make tons and tons of money. It sounds that good. So hopefully I'm not gushing too much.
No, I think that's good. I think you said it well. And we had a question here from MD Frick. Is the ZMF Pendant one of the favorites with this crowd, or perhaps just a good reference? I mean, I thoroughly enjoy it. I think it's fantastic when you get telefunctin power tubes in there with an Amprix input tube, and it's just bananas good. I know Android said that he thought it was a little bit noisy, but I think also Android had the original OG, and the pendant that I have currently in now was the very last revision of 2020 before the new SE comes out, and they shifted the power ratings from 8 to 100, and it just sounds less noisy. It doesn't sound very noisy to me. I think all tube amps, and we haven't talked about that yet, but all tube amps are going to pick up some noise. For instance, like I had the Elise versus the Pendant, and I did an extended comparison of the newer version Pendant, not the new one coming out in a few weeks, but the last one made of 2020. And the Pendant was actually quieter than the Elise. So, and they sat right next to each other. So, and I side by side them. So for weeks. So, I mean, it's a matter of, maybe the initial versions of the Pendant were a little noisier. I don't know. I don't know the details there. But the one I review and that I have sitting right now in my living room that's currently being compared against the Nautilus and the Mogwai OG, I mean, sounds freaking phenomenal. The Pendant is the most neutral, so when you say, or is it a good reference, I would say it is a more neutral reference tube amp. Yeah. It's not going to be as, I would say, as rich and,
lush.
Lush, there's that word again, or warm as some other ones. Like the Mogwai OG slams like a dump truck. I mean, it's hit so hard, but it's also the most rounded off and kind of a little more lush sounding. And then the Nautilus is in a world all of its own. You know what I mean? So stay tuned for that review that I'll be dropping. I'm going to finish up the filming for it. So, in fact, one other thing too, there's a hot tip. This is a secret hot tip if anybody's still with us. That Nautilus that's sitting right now in the living room, when I'm finished reviewing it, is going to be up for sale for a very discounted price. So if you're interested, potentially, hit me up later. Hit me up later after the chat. Go find me on headphones.com forum. I'm there. So you just find me, send me a message. I'll put you in touch with Justin when I'm done reviewing it. You might be able to get a sweet deal on it if you're interested. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, I'll go sell my other kidney right now.
You don't need it. All right, let's see. Let's look at the next amp. And this is the final amp that we're going to talk about tonight. And hopefully Ant is still around because he actually he just owned these. Or did he just pop off? We lose him?
No, I saw. I saw.
Oh, okay.
I saw him post.
Yeah, because I know that he owned this amp for a little while. It's actually pretty beautiful, and it is at the top end of the price range, though. So we're right at that $1,000 price range, and it is the WA7 Fireflies from Woo. To me, aesthetically, this is one of the coolest looking aesthetically amps, just because it's so original, it's so OG. It's like sitting in a block of ice almost, like with warm tubes inside of it. However, like,
It looks really pretty.
Based on our conversations yesterday, we don't know if it sounds as good as some of the other amps on here for less, but let's turn it over. What do you guys think? You guys tell me. What do you think? Obviously, we know and all agree that it's one of the best looking or beautiful.
Is my favorite, but have you heard it? Have either of you guys heard it?
I haven't.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll do a quick. I've only heard it a couple times, and I could talk about a little more. But I thought it was. It reminded me of the MCTH, to be honest, sound-wise. Like I wasn't, at least my
Wow.
with it. Like I wasn't thoroughly. It was nice. It was clean. It sounded like I didn't really have any issues with it, but I wasn't like impressed with it as far as sound. Being like there wasn't a thing that stood out. Let's put it that way. That makes sense. Like it wasn't bad. It just nothing stood out for me to.
And let me ask you this. So just as a quick, because they sell it in a pair, right? And one is
There's a power. You don't have to have the pair. One's a power, and but you can get it without that other one. You can get it with a power brick instead of the power.
Ah, okay. So you can feed it with your own DAC then?
You can feed it with your own. You feed it with your own DAC. One's a power like input output kind of deal, but you don't have to have that one. You can actually cut the cost a little bit and remove the power one, and then you'll just have the one, I believe is how that works. So.
Okay. And then when you got to listen to it, did you have their DAC built in or okay?
It was this full unit, yeah.
Okay, got it. And what about you, Professor? What did you think about it?
Completely unremarkable, other than the looks. That's the complete impression I got from it. I mean, it looks fantastic. It's this pretty little cube, or pair of pretty little cubes that sit, on your desk, and they glow, and it's great. But I can't really say that a Magni Modi stack wouldn't get you there.
Kareem brought up the same point that you brought up last night, Brent. He says the WA6 is a better sound, and it's less money, right? I believe.
Less money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like half the price. I would much rather, well, not half the price, but I would much rather go with that from Woo. I think it's hard to put Woo on a sub $1,000 tube amp recommendation list, just because of their pricing. So I think that one of the reasons you buy Woo is because of the looks, and they do look fantastic. They're built like tanks. You could probably murder somebody with it. They're
Yeah, there's Android chimed in. Thanks, brother. It says, I used to own a WA7 Fireflies tube plus power set. Yeah, so he had to upgrade the tubes and it sounded a lot better, but you know, sounds like the tubes to upgrade are pretty pricey. So it's more of an investment, and it sounds like you're paying more for aesthetics than you are for sound with this amp, unless you're going to spend significantly more in getting better tubes to really bring it up in quality of sound.
And even then, it's not as spectacular as you'd want it to be.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we've been going for a while now, so let's talk about our top 5. So who wants to go first? What from the amps we've discussed today, or do you want to do top 3 or top 5?
I think I could do top 3. I think would probably be the
top 3. Okay.
Top 3, top 5, whatever. We could all surprise everybody.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So if let's just go forth, and let's say Tyler, you want to go first?
Sure. My favorites of the bunch would probably be not necessarily in order. I'll do Bottlehead Crack, tuba, and I would have to say probably the Lyr 3 would be my top 3, and then I'd say Mjolnir. Probably the 5, Mjolnir, and then the can.
Your number 1 would be the can?
No, my number 1 would be the. Ooh, that's tough. That's really tough. Number 1 would probably be Bottlehead Crack. Number 2 would be tuba. 3 would be can. Ooh, I don't know Mjolnir though. Ooh, that's tough. Actually, because I only heard Mjolnir a little bit, so I can't give it a proper evaluation here. So I'd say I'll stick with the can, and then I'll say Mjolnir, and then I'll put Lyr 3 in the bottom.
Cool.
Brent, what about you, buddy?
I would say from 5 to 1. Number 5, Lyr 3. Liquid Platinum would be number 4. No, let's swap that. I'm going to swap that around. Liquid Platinum, Lyr 3, Bottlehead Crack, the Mjolnir 2, and the Shortest Way 51 Plus.
Cool.
As my number 1.
Cool.
In the $1,000 tube amp category, it's,
and under.
And under, yeah. So there you go.
Sorry, I was laughing at you, bro. By the way, Ant Droid made a comment right as you finished, and it was a bad timing.
So I would say, for me, I'm not going to do them in any particular order because I haven't thought enough about it to say which one I like the best of all of them. And plus, a lot of times my mood changes in my listening, and sometimes I prefer one sound over another, so it's hard for me to say that one is my favorite over another. But I would definitely say the Lyr 3 is definitely in there for sure, as is the Bottlehead Crack, as is the tuba. Those are by far probably my favorites of the bunch. And then for like really low price point, I mean, I have to go with the Cavalli Tube Hybrid that I got for like $165. It's unoffensive. It's an easy listen. It's affordable. You know, you can pair a little topping L30 DAC with it, and you're significantly, very little amount of investment is what I'm trying to say. So, and you can have a great listen. It's what's sitting on my desk right now, and it's it's fun. The value
proposition there is huge.
Yeah, the value prop is huge. So for somebody getting into the hobby, I have to include it because it was one of my first tube amps, and it is, it's a hybrid, so it's a good entry point, if you haven't done tubes yet. And I don't think many people would be disappointed unless you've heard stuff that's 3, 4, 5 times the price, So I would definitely include it in there. And then I don't know. And then probably either the Liquid Platinum or the Valley 2. I mean, they're all pretty good, to be honest. I don't really hate any of them. I don't have any gripes with any of them. I think the most unique sounding is the Bottlehead Crack. So that for me is the most unique sounding amp of the bunch, like to where it is just, in a world all of its own. So I really like that amp a lot. So let's go to the chat here and see if there's any other questions. All right. How much do you listen to tubes versus solid state? That's another good question. Okay. For me, I'll take this first. For me, I would say the majority of my listening is via tubes. I will use the A90 D90 combo for reference reviewing a pair of headphones when I first get them in. I will put them through my entire 2 hour playlist of tracks that I always use, and I will make my notes and I will get a feel for their sound signature. And then after I've done that, I go straight into tubes, so I'm getting a reference right out the gate, and then after that, I'm putting it through every tube amplifier I have, because if I'm listening for enjoyment, I'm listening via tubes. That's me personally. So, what about you guys?
Kind of the same situation here. If I'm doing something where I cannot listen to music, like gaming, or I'm just looking for the sound to get into my brain, solid state, right? There are some games where I can just turn the volume way down and I can listen to music while I'm doing that. Then it's, I don't know, 50-50. I'll probably be on tubes, though, because there's music playing, right? And then when it's like, kick back, relax, let myself float away into the music, it's absolutely tubes. I'm listening to my Stratus at that point, and yeah, the world can just go off and do its own thing. I really don't care, because I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat. I have the TT2 plugged into the T4, and I almost actually my chain probably 99% of the time is the TT2 into the T4 hybrid to these, and that's pretty much my for everything. If I'm at my PC, that's probably what I'm listening to. Yeah.
And I think when I first came into the hobby, I was more listening via solid state amps and thinking that I was always looking for the most transparent, neutral sound possible, and I thought that that's what I should be searching for based on other opinions out there that maybe I took way too seriously. And then I started to listen for myself and let my ears do the talking for me, and not worry so much about what other people thought or said about, distortion or this or that. And my ears guided me the correct way to where tube amplification was what I preferred. Now there's a caveat there. There is some headphones that sound really great with solid state, but for me, majority of the time, I prefer a tube amplifier, which is kind of why I wanted to do this stream with these two studs, because I think there's a lot of people out there that were like me a year and a half ago or 2 years ago or whatever it was. They don't really know much about tubes, and it's a mystery to them. So hopefully there's some value that people got out of that, or out of the stream. I will also say though, when I'm listening to my LS50 Meta Kefs, I'm using a streamer, and that it runs into a Vidar, which is a solid state amp. So, however, I have utilized the pendant as a preamp, and that sounds even better than so once again, introducing tubes into the chain, whether it's 2-channel stereo listening or headphone listening, to me it just sounds more lifelike, it sounds more engaging, it sounds more enveloping, it pulls you into the music more so. Whereas I feel like when I'm listening on solid state, I'm kind of outside of the music a bit, and I'm viewing it this way, where I want to be in the middle of it, if that makes sense. That's the best analogy I could give to how I reflect when I listen to tubes.
I don't know if there's a scientific explanation for it, but in my mind, it's one of those, when you're listening to something, you're getting the sound bouncing off of all of the objects that are around you in your environment. You're getting little bits of changes and distortions that your ears pick up on, and we're used to that just being in an open environment, where things make noise. And so when we don't get that, when we are ultra linear, ultra clean, this is your best measuring, kind of thing, I think the brain picks it up as, this is false, this is not natural, this is sterile, antiseptic, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I think that probably why a lot of the solid state amps that I think sound the best are like the ECP3F that have like a little bit of second order distortion in there, the Eddy Current Black Widow, which is my current favorite, second favorite, depends on what
Are
headphone
those
I'm on.
are those Class A, Brent?
Yeah, they're Class A.
And so Class A, for our listeners, if you're going solid state, Class A brings you closer to, like Brent was just saying, a tube sound. So that's one thing to think about. It's not gonna be tubes, but it brings you closer. If you're really fearful of tubes, maybe try to venture into Class A a little bit, and then, or just go for tubes, man. You're just gonna love it. Once you hear it, just ignore what you read about people and their distortion ratings and you can't hear a difference. Just trust your ears, okay? Listen with your ears, not your eyes. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give you. Stop listening with your eyes and listen with your ears. Don't worry about measuring something first or reading a measurement first. Just pick up the headphones and do what your body wants you to do. Put them on your head, turn on the music, close your eyes, and listen. That will tell you what you want to know. Don't get stuck with any preconceived notions that you read about or somebody's measurements or this or that. Just listen and see what you find. We have a couple other good questions. So preamp on the Mjolnir. I haven't used the preamp on it, Michael, but Tyler, yeah, it's good, solid.
Yeah,
into speakers.
I haven't personally, but I know literally 10 different people that have, and I don't know. Am I wrong, bro? It seems like for preamp, it's.
I have never used the Mjolnir 2 as a preamp. I have no idea how it sounds.
I can tell you the Lyr 3 sounds decent, pretty decent. It's not bad. It's pretty good. I mean, so I would hope that the Mjolnir was even better, right? Because it's a step above.
From the people I chat with, they all say they love it. So.
The Lyr 3 is the new invention with the continuity circuit, or the whatever it is Jason dreamed up, whereas the Mjolnir 2 I believe is just your regular cyclotron whatever thing that's been around for decades, so, or maybe even 50 some odd years, I don't know.
I agree. It's funny, Ray asked that Marcello, that latest one.
Hold on, I'm going to get to a few others and we'll get down there. So there's so many good questions. All right, so maybe I missed Ray's, or let me see, maybe. Thank you for the thoughtful answer. I was curious to the reference point. Oh, no, yeah, let me get to all these others first. Michael had that. Thank you, Michael, for that question. Let me throw it up there on the broadcast for anybody. So yes, we think so, but we haven't all heard it at length for about the Mjolnir and how well it does for preamp, but maybe that's somebody else. Okay, Tyler. PK says tuba with a Verte close. Same with Aeolus. Good question.
Yeah,
PK.
It is. The tuba was fantastic with all of my ZMFs. Honestly, I really honestly of the bunch, it's literally the closest to my T4, which is my favorite amp right now. So I mean, if that says anything, yeah.
And I
if I didn't have a T4, I'd buy a tuba.
And I can back that up for Tyler, since I also have not the Verte close, but the Verte open on hand, as well as the Aeolus, and it sounds great with both of them. So excellent. It's an all-around for 300 ohm, and for I actually used it with the Empyrean too. It sounds great with the Empyrean because it's right on that lower, the 32 ohm right there, and it sounds gangster with the Empyrean. It was great, one of the better sounding pairings with the Empyrean. So let me put this question up. Another great question. Johnson asked, best tube amp for the Alex.
I just hit any of the hybrids we mentioned.
Yeah, maybe if you don't want to spend a ton. Actually, the Cavalli tube hybrid's not bad. Because I didn't have the Alex, but I had the, what's it called? The with the clear pads. Yeah, the Lyr. Thank you, with the clear pads, and it sounded pretty good with the Cavalli tube hybrid from Drop. But the Lyr 3 also probably would be decent. What
Tuba
else?
Would be fine.
Tuba on the 32.
Almost anything that was a hybrid we mentioned, but would be fantastic. Would be fine with it.
Okay.
Any of those.
Good question. Oh yeah, we're gonna skip that one. That's spicy. Tubes, unless I'm listening to player. My soul is saying, okay, good. Okay. So, great answer, Sleepy. So Sleepy actually answered that for us too, and because he owns the Alex. Thank you, Sleepy. He uses the Echo with the Alex all the time, and it has a wonderful holographic smooth top end. Nice. Well done. Sleepy's awesome. Good job, buddy. Let's see. Okay, here's another good question from Ray. Ray, you got great questions tonight, man. Keep it coming. Would a couple $100 more over $1,000 be worth it, or do you really have to step up to about 1,700 pendant or amps and sound Kenzie range?
I'll take
my hot take is. Oh yeah, pro. No, you got it.
No,
I think
ahead,
we're on the same. We're on the same wavelength. So I already know you guys. So go ahead.
Okay. So below your $750 price range, you've got some that really stand out. Like I think we've pretty much covered most of them. And this is pure tube amps, not hybrids, right? So specifically your Bottlehead Cracks, things like that we've already covered. Yeah, those are absolutely worth the money. I would definitely recommend somebody go into it. You get what you're paying for, and there's not a lot of diminishing returns there, right? Even after you've tube rolled. Once you get over the $900 to $1,200 mark, in that specific price bracket, you're in no man's land of anything there doesn't sound significantly better than the stuff $500 cheaper. And once you get from the $1,200 to $1,999 price range, you're into the severe diminishing returns where it still doesn't sound, some of the stuff doesn't sound too much better than the Crack, and you're spending 3 times the money to get it. So once you get into some of the bigger amps, where the designer has gone and really put the stuff into it, whether that be more iron or better caps or the supreme build quality, that kind of stuff, your pendants, your DNA starlets, the Kenzie, the pendant, Mogwai, those kind of stuff. And there's just so many different tube amplifiers out there. If you can find a used Eddy Current ZDS, for example, don't wait to see what's next. Hit buy. You're welcome. At that point, there is something that happens where it is performance-wise a mile ahead of the stuff that came before it. So I've had like the IHA1 Dragon thingy.
Inspire.
Dragon Inspire, thank you. I've had that. That was such an ultimate disappointment. The Feliks Elise, I can see why some people would like it for
version 1 though. You had the version 1 though, right? And that one was known.
I did, yeah. So I should caveat that. I had the one that apparently was terrible, but so
no, I think a lot of people were unhappy with version 1. I read quite a bit about it, so
okay. So I mean, that opinion shouldn't be a reflection on their current products, because many of them I haven't heard, to be honest. So I don't know how they sound. And
I think that's a good point too to bring up. You're not ever really going to know. So you're getting opinions from us. Those are all subjective, guys and gals out there, if we have any gals listening. So these are completely subjective opinions. We are, not like certified amplifier and headphone listeners. Okay, and if anybody tells you they are, or they pop a graph out on the screen and it makes them seem like they have more knowledge than your own ears do, take that with a grain of salt. Okay, so get your own ears on the product, try it out yourself. That's the only way you're really going to know if you like it. Okay,
I mean, I'm a total audio sommelier. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, if you take a look at it too, a lot of these products are designed by like a guy who is really into audio too, and his chain was completely different. And so when he made his certain thing and put it out to market, that sounded great to him, and it may not sound good to you, and that's fine. And he'll learn that.
Yeah,
totally. And he'll adjust the circuit, and he'll make it better, and he'll come out with a revision 2 and a Echo 2 and a new version of the Elise, and come out with a Euphoria and that kind of stuff. And until you hear those, you really shouldn't bias yourself with oh well, I've heard the one original version of this and it sucks, so everything they make is terrible. You
Well,
don't
heck, even
know.
look at
You really don't.
the pendant, even like
Yeah.
talk about like it
Yeah.
changed over time, and even the like Marcello was saying, the 2020 most recent before the newer one, like.
And a good product should evolve, right? I feel like a good product should evolve, and a manufacturer should listen to their clientele. If there's something that could be better and they can improve it, then that's a damn good manufacturer to take those steps to do it,
And unless I'm mistaken, the story on the pendant also is Zach went to Justin and was like,
Mhm.
I like your amps, I like the build, I like everything like that, but can you make it sound a little cleaner? Because the warmer sound doesn't do it for me, and I want to present my customers with something that sounds this way. And they collaborated, came together, and there you go. And you got the pendant. It's a fantastic sounding amp.
Yeah.
It is fantastic sounding. MD Frick, I think you just commented that you're getting your Verte close this month. I mean, and it says, I know I need an OTL amp. Well, yeah, then just, if you want an OTL amp, check out the Bottlehead Crack if you're willing to build it yourself. If you're not, spend a little more. Have one of those guys build it for you on Etsy, I think, is a place we all said that you could find a builder that does good work, and check their reviews. And, I mean, for $750, you got yourself, an amp that sounds phenomenal with ZMF headphones. I mean, I would say the Elise is actually a good pairing with the Vertes. That is a good pairing. It is a little still though, it is a little more, gooey sounding. So you have to be able to accept that if you're okay with that. But that's why I think it does actually pretty well with the Verte, because the Verte is pretty exacting, of details. And it also has such a really cool 3-dimensional stage. And so when you pair those two together, you get a really interesting sound. And I know that Ant really loves that pairing of the Elise with his Verte Open. So, and I think there's quite a few people that really love that. Or if you have the budget and you really want to go, all in, then if you're looking at an OTL that's made by Feliks, because a lot of people keep commenting, then their Euphoria is pretty well loved as well. I haven't heard it personally. It's definitely one I want to review though. So, let's see. Trust your ears, Michael. Yes, trust your ears. Let's see. I'm with you, Marcello. I'm just not the biggest measurements guy. Yes. Awesome. Cool. Any other questions? We've been going over 2 hours. Hey, you guys do me a big favor out there. Will you guys smash the like button for me and share this video with your friends and family members that might have any interest in this? The only way we can get people to see this is by your support, which we greatly appreciate. So if you haven't smashed the like button yet, smash that like button for us. Let's see. Would I describe the Elise as very dynamic sounding? If you're referring to dynamic as like how like bass hits and the speed at which, thank you for all those likes. I just saw them pop up on the screen. You guys rock. For like the way bass hits or how fast transients can move. No, it's not. I think you're going to get nice bass rumble from the Elise. But it's not a fast amp. Like the pendant is more dynamic sounding, and then the Mogwai OG is even more dynamic sounding, and then the Nautilus is the most dynamic sounding, if you will. So at least in my personal listening, but I have to send that back, so can't keep that. Otherwise, I'd have to sell a car or something, to buy it. But for somebody that does have the money out there and they don't care about what it costs because they just want something incredible, well then the Nautilus that's where it's at. Let's see. Many modern OTL amps aren't noisy at all. Yes, that's true. That is true. Yeah, the Elise is pretty quiet, I would say, too, Sleepy. It's not a noisy amp at all. Thanks, Android, for hitting the bell. Appreciate you, brother. Anybody heard the man's...
is another one that it doesn't really seem noisy at all that I've ever experienced with it. So yeah.
Which one?
And it is very revealing of your DAC. So.
Which one is that?
Oh, the Valhalla 2. Just kind of playing off what Sleepy had just put in chat.
Yeah. No, that's a great call. Has Johnson has a question. Has anybody heard the Manly Absolute?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard it. It was interesting.
What did you guys think?
I think the problem with the Manley Absolute isn't the sound. Maybe it is a bit the price, but you're never going to find a review out there that is going to be the same as another, because there are so many ways to tweak the sound on a Manley Absolute, and so many different little tubes that you can stick in there that'll totally throw the sound one way or another. You have to put your ears on one, and you have to put it on it for a long period of time to know if you're going to like a Manley Absolute. It's not something I would buy blind.
Well said. Okay, so we got 2 questions, and I'm going to take both of these questions in one shot. So the first one is, Tim, are there any tube amps that can power HE6 SE version 2? And this is going to be a two-part answer. So the Lyr 3 can. It's 4 watts into 50 ohms. It's not the best pairing, audibly to my ears. Once again, subjective, but it sounds good. It's not bad either. And then if you can step it up a little bit in your budget, which is going to answer Ray's question. Someone please review the Mogwai OG. It's in the process right now, buddy. I have a Mogwai OG, so it is being reviewed right now. So hang tight. The Mogwai OG can power the HE6 SE version 2, and when you swap out the stock tubes it comes with, and you put in KT88 power tubes into the mix, whoo! Yeah, it can power them all right. Yeah, and it slams, man. That's actually one of my favorite listens right now. And I'm not a Hyphaman guy. I'm not a Hyphaman hater either. But like I've always found with most Hyphaman headphones, they just lacked that dynamic punch. Now some of their headphones sound really good, like in the sub bass region. It's really impressive. Like even the HE1000 I reviewed, that's going to be edited and coming out, in the near future. I thought the sub bass on that headphone was really great, but my biggest gripe has been with a lot of the Hyphaman headphones is they aren't very dynamic sounding. There isn't a real big hit with them. But the HE6 SE V2s with a Mogwai OG will change your whole tune, or the Nautilus, but then you're significantly more money. But under 2K, the Mogwai OG can rock your world on the HE6, in my opinion. So, we'll take a few more questions and then we'll probably wrap it up. Has anybody heard the Cayenne HA300?
I heard it briefly. It was pretty amazing. It sounded really good.
Oh yeah, you already answered that.
Yeah, no, you're good. But it was interesting. I did prefer the Glen OTL though at the time, because the Glen was sitting right next to it, so it was kind of outshined by a unicorn. So it's kind of unfair.
And that's real. At least you're being real.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? I think we could wrap this up. We've been going over 2 hours. I just want to thank everybody for joining us. Hopefully anybody new to the hobby that has reservations about checking out tube amps maybe feels a little bit better about checking out some of these tube amps. Reminder, there is links in the description to the majority of these amps that we discuss, so you can check those out. Also check out headphones.com forum, where we all hang out quite often, and you can find a lot of information there as well. I want to thank you, Professor, for joining us and bringing your immense amount of knowledge and awesome bald head with facial hair, and Tyler for bringing your great sense of humor, great beard, and gigantic muscles to the thread, and
ultra wide lens.
And I just want to thank.
Expect by next stream that you're going to have a Hi-Fi Man headphone to demo there, Tyler.
Man, the HE6 V2, you might dig it, man. I don't know, with the right amp. I don't know, maybe not.
Maybe I'll try a HE6 SE. I don't know. I'll try a sus. I'll try a sus and an HE6 SE. How about that? I've had Arias. I've had the Ananda. I've had the 400. I've had a bunch of Hyphamans come through here. None of them really ever stuck, if that makes sense.
I can appreciate that.
I can appreciate it too, man, because I feel like a lot of their signatures for me gravitate towards maybe 2 genres of music, but the HE6 is not that way, and that's why I like it. It plays with a lot of fun type of music, more fun type of music into my
I'm
ears.
more interested in the HE6 SE because of that, and it's funny. I think that the guy that actually engineered the HE6 SE doesn't even work for Hyphen anymore.
Interesting. Thank you guys. Thanks for all the shout outs. Appreciate you all. And I think with that, we are going to sign off and look forward to seeing you guys next time. And don't forget to check out Tyler's channel. And don't forget to check us out at headphones.com forum. Thank you guys. Peace.
Next time I won't be a floating head either. So
You look great. You look great.
Hey, you look good, brother.
Night, guys. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Stay safe out there.